Hi, welcome back to Everyday Behavior. My name is Dr. Mary Ann Shepard, and this is the 5th video in our series this month. And so I am happy to bring you some resources on the Vineland. And so we talked a little bit about the Vineland during last month when we were talking about our assessment and progress monitoring of children. Today we're talking about how to use the Vineland in goal setting. And so within the aspect of goal setting, how do you utilize the Vineland in setting those IEP goals and those IEP objectives? So what I want to do is take just a minute to show you what a Vineland protocol looks like. So a Vineland protocol is actually a pretty thick booklet. So it's a 28-page booklet that the parent and or the teacher completes. It's divided into 9 sections, or there's actually 12 sections within the Vineland. But when you're looking at your instructional goals, typically you're going to use those 9 sections, okay? And so in the Vineland, you have the goals that they're going to fill out or the questions that they're going to fill out. And so this is on relating to others, and you can see the questions that they answer. And they either answer that they usually or often engage in this behavior, that they sometimes engage in this behavior, or they never engage in this behavior. And so then once you have completed, or once the teacher or the parent has completed the Vineland, or both, then you get a report that's printed out. And so this is your personal subdomain report. And it tells you within that report what type of content it is. It gives you some scores. And so for this particular one, this client's raw score is a 24. And the median raw score for a child that's 3 years, 3 months is 66.5. So we are well below where this child should be for his age. So he's approximately 42.5 raw score points below the average for his age. And so we want to increase his score. If we're looking at our goal or objective, we want to increase his score from 24 to maybe, let's keep it achievable. So maybe we want to increase it to 35 points, okay? And so maybe we want to increase his raw score from 24 points to 35 points prior to the next year or the next goal, okay? And you can see within those what are the behaviors that we're looking at. And so it talks about each of those behaviors and then what they were scored. And so the ones that are white are goals that we've already achieved versus the ones that are in the gray are goals that maybe we want to work on. And so if we look at these gray goals, where are our first gray goals? Our first gray goals are eat solid foods or cooperates in dressing and undressing. And so within that personal subdomain, how can we turn those into goals in the classroom? So what types of goals could you do with that? You may not feel qualified in that eat solid foods, but you could in the cooperates in dressing and undressing. Also cooperates in washing of his hands and feet. Got to wash hands at school. Now you got to wash hands in, wash hands out, wash hands frequently, wash hands hourly, wash hands minute by minute. So how can you turn that into a goal for this particular child that you're working with? Takes off his socks and shoes. That's something you definitely can address in the classroom of taking off socks and shoes. Feeding with a fork or a spoon, that's a goal that is listed on here. And so how can you turn these into goals? And these are definitely socially relevant and meaningful. And if you make these changes for the child, it's going to open up so many opportunities of can the child even participate in those least restrictive environments. And so if we're looking at getting a child into the least restrictive environment, being able to sit with other children at the lunch table, they need to be able to use a fork and a spoon. If we want to look and feed solid foods, that's a huge keystone or behavioral cusp to getting this child into a less restrictive environment in the classroom or with mainstream peers. Also, when we look at being able to take on and off clothes, well, that's a keystone behavior to being able to go to the bathroom independently. And if they can't go to the bathroom independently, then they can't be in a mainstream classroom without an aide or a paraprofessional. And so, how do these skills really open up some of those behavioral cusps so that the student can participate in the class in a less restrictive environment. And so that's how you use the Vineland, or those are some ways that you might be able to use the Vineland. So you have your protocol or your administration, you have your goals, and how can you use this in making those measurable or objective goals for the child. So the child's personal subdomain score will increase from a raw score of 24 to a raw score of 35. And these are the objectives that we're going to address to get there. So those are different objectives that you can address within the Vineland. I hope that you found this helpful or useful. For more information, you can visit the Vineland website and purchase some of their materials to use and look for additional training on that particular assessment. Have a wonderful day, and you can follow us on Facebook at Everyday Behaviors with Dr. Mary Ann. You can find more information on our website at www.everydaybehaviors.com, and definitely follow us here on YouTube so that you know when our next video series is released. Thank you and have a wonderful day.